Georgia's not playing in the playoff this fall or this winter. It's quite obviously winter, Ryan, but they are preparing as if they were. That's what Kirby Smart said in his only press conference between the SEC Championship and the Orange Bowl. Um, they're still, I saw something the other day from Florida State's coach talking about how they're having a hard time getting past not being in the playoffs still. It doesn't sound like Kirby and them are thinking about that very much. It's probably a good plan, honestly.
I think some of us are probably handling the cold a little bit differently. It will not be cold for the Dogs down in Fort Lauderdale. I haven't checked the 10-day forecast, but I'm imagining it's not going to be very cold down there if it was like it was 2 years ago. They're not preparing for this any different. It's the same thing as through the yeah. But are you man enough is the question. But
No.
for the Dogs, the preparation's not different, and it's the same thing as if you talk about like back in September, the way they're preparing for Ball State, right? Their process doesn't change. I think the thing that sticks out the most. Look, this disappointing is a great way to describe what has happened for Georgia the last few weeks. There's no other way to put it. I think a three-peat was on the line, and honestly, most of the Georgia fan base kind of had it locked in. If we're being real, the way it was discussed. So,
Not before the season.
how do you keep the sense of urgency? I'm buying what Kirby and these players are talking about with connection. I buy that, and
Yeah,
I
I do
think they
too.
really do want to suit up together one last time. They keep talking about finishing it the right way. So I think we should expect to see a close to full force Georgia team, if not full force, that wants to win and probably win in a big way on the 30th.
See, that's what I've been speculating now. I don't know what's going on. I don't really know unless you're sort of inside the program if you know what's going on because there's 16 guys who now have transferred out. Two of them I would say were would well, even Brock Vandergriff, I don't think you could say he was really going to play a lot next season. But Jamon Newman Johnson, I would say Sorey and Marvin Jones Jr. both as well. But yeah, the bulk of this team, it looks like they're going to play in this game. They're going to try to do their best to beat the Evelyn Dog out of Florida State, who seems very still concentrated, Ryan, on what has happened rather than what will happen. That line is still 2 touchdowns. That's a huge line for this. That's one of the largest bowl lines out there, and we're
I'd
talking about
expect it to
number
go
five
up.
against. Go
I would
ahead.
expect I would expect that line to move up as we get closer to
I
this thing.
think that's probably right, but um, this is we're talking about number five against number six in theory. Georgia has not gotten to the playoff in the past and still wound up in the top four in the final rankings, which is another thing to consider. That's what happened in 19. I don't think that's out of the question this year either. I don't think they're going to move Georgia in front of Alabama because we have this thing where, if you win over someone, they have to be in front of you the entire season. I don't know, whatever. But
Not how it works in the NFL.
no, it's not. It's not how it works in a lot of places. But um, I think looking forward, there's been a lot of grumpy out there. In Georgia, there's a lot of hands throwing up from older fans. Frankly, there's been a lot of frustration from you know Georgia fans just with regardless of age about how this was a great opportunity, and I think it was a great opportunity to steal a national championship. This was not a great team versus the 21 and 22 team or the 20 Bama team or the 2019 LSU team. But I think a really a non-great team is going to win this season, and that could have been Georgia. The best way to remedy that is by beating Florida State. That's all there is to it, Ryan. There's no other. We're only 10 days from this game, 9 at this point. We're not that far from this game being played. I mean, you can talk about what happened, or you can move forward. Florida State's got 4 of their guys already who are not playing in this game that are like legitimate players.
I was gonna say, I think their 5 best players, at least 3 of them have already announced that they're sitting out. When we talk about the ends, the back and one of the receivers,
I got it.
and then the quarterback's obviously not playing, Jordan Travis. So we're talking about a handful of their best players are not playing.
Johnny Wilson, Trey Benson, Jaheim Bell, and then Jared Verse. Verse is the defensive lineman. Bell is maybe not as well known, but he's a back. Trey Benson rushed for almost 1,000 yards. He's Mel Kiper's number 2 back in this draft. And then Johnny Wilson was
this must be a weak running back class.
Yeah, well, we can't. Hey, we go ahead.
No, that's fine. It is what it is. I would probably say the Ohio State kid is probably the number 1, but that's a different conversation.
Okay.
Their best guys are not going to be. I guess Keon Coleman would be their most talented player that at this point is not opted out. We're talking about a first-round NFL player.
Are we for sure that he's playing in this game?
I'm not for sure. Right. I'm just saying there hasn't been an official word one way or the other.
I don't think there has been yet.
I would guess he's not going to play if I had to make a guess. But it seems like it's not the case in Athens. There's a total different reaction to what happened to the playoff in Athens.
That's the difference, Ryan. Let me just squeak this in real quick. This River's Edge Adirondack rocker. I use these chairs. I'm showing you in red and black from our friends at EcoPoly. 20-year warranty made of completely recycled plastics. Awesome. Made in the heart of Georgia in Dodge County. I'm rocking in my EcoPoly chair right now. I would be, the details for that are down below, but I would be concerned if I were Florida State that we have invested so much in what was possibly happening, and now we're not doing. That's not going to happen at all. Which was a playoff appearance. I mean, that's gone. And when we get to Miami, we'll have a little bit better.
Are you going to Miami?
Fort Lauderdale, whatever.
Okay.
No, I'm flying into Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. Is that what your reaction was?
It was a joke. It wasn't a great joke.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Oh man, this cold. Hey. I'm not about the 40-degree weather. I would say this to Dylan Raiola right now. My friend, you go have fun in this for the next 4 months or whatever it is. And it sounds miserable. It is miserable. I've been to Nebraska in the summer, and it ain't great, let me tell you. So Lincoln, Omaha, there's not much out there. But in the weather is just inexcusable to be outside in this weather. Why would anyone ever... Forget Nebraska. Why would anyone ever want to be in this weather? It's awful. So the trip to Miami or the Miami metropolitan area will be a lot of good weather, you would hope. But I think Georgia's going out there to win. I mean, I think that their process doesn't change. It doesn't seem like to me. That's the important part. They're building towards 24 right now, Ryan.
I continue to go back to something that I believe it was Kendall Milton said after the SEC championship game, just talking about how that was going to be one more chance to play with their brother, like alongside your brothers. This obviously they wanted something bigger than what they can possibly have now. This is still a significant trophy, right? And this is the last year that these New Year's Six games will have value outside of the playoff. So this is the last time the Orange Bowl is going to it's just going to be this Orange Bowl trophy that you can celebrate.
So that's
now,
correct.
Does that really matter to people? I don't know, but it's true.
Well, I'll tell you this about the Orange Bowl. I've been to the Orange Bowl a lot. I've been to the West Virginia Clemson game, the Clemson Ohio State game, the Oklahoma Clemson game, Georgia Michigan, and now this will be Georgia Florida State. The Orange Bowl is a big deal. The Sugar Bowl is a big deal. They just are. The Peach Bowl, I think, has become a big deal, and they are, of course, going to be incorporated into the playoff from here on out. But this is a final terminal Orange Bowl. Like, this is the last one. And they're having covered, man, I've covered an Independence Bowl. I've covered the national championship game. And I got to tell you, in the complete gamut of postseason college football, that is the entire run right there. There is nothing worse than the Independence Bowl. There's nothing worse. It was horrific. The turf, if you want to call it that, was unacceptable. And, of course, then you had Indianapolis and SoFi. So I've run the gamut of things. You do not want to lose a bowl game. You want to always win them. And the big bowl games, which are the Sugar, Rose, Peach, at this point, the New Year's Six games, You want to win as many of them as you can. Losing them, if Georgia were to lose this game to a very hobbled Florida State team with a backup quarterback at best, right? We're assuming he plays. That would be a really bad look. And honestly, I don't think these guys have any plan on that. I think going down there to whip some ass. That's my guess. I mean, I know in this program, that's what they're ready to do. Florida State, Ryan, is in the position Georgia was when they played Texas in the Sugar Bowl. They're wondering what could have been or should have been.
Yeah. I don't think it would be too much to say that it would be embarrassing for Georgia to lose to Florida State.
It'd be close, though, man.
I'm being serious.
It'd be close.
I know that the Florida State fans must hate me by now over the last month, but this should not be a close game because it looks like they're taking this very seriously. I'm not saying that Florida State isn't. I don't watch their preparation behind the scene. I don't know what Mike Norvell and what the verbiage is with them and how hard they practice. I'm sure they're taking it seriously. Hard to do that when you're not at full strength, and it's hard to do that when morale is probably as low as it's been for a lot of those people's athletic careers. So that's the other part of this. There's a mental aspect to everything, and there's a mental aspect to sport, and Florida State's mentals aren't there for this game. It's obvious. Or it doesn't seem that way. Or maybe their heart isn't there is a better way to put it. But this is a Georgia team that also is in the same boat as you. Thought it should be in the playoff, right? Definitely was one of the 4 best teams in college football this year. I don't understand how what happened on December 2nd changes that notion when it was so far and away Georgia was number 1 heading into that. So that's just out the window. But you're starting to get to a concerning spot if you're Florida State in terms of this Orange Bowl.
My reading of this, and someone else can correct me, is it feels to me like Florida State, or there's a lot of discussion of Florida State complaining about what happened. You've got the governor of the state who's running for president, the attorney general of the state, like, y'all, I mean, the Rick Scott, who is their, I think, senior senator, but he's one of the 2 senators. I mean, like, let it go. I mean, I know it's easy for me to say that, but they got jobbed. It wasn't right. But, man, it happened. And it's time to kind of move on from it. The other, I want to correct something I said earlier. I said Georgia probably has the highest line in this game. The other game that is actually higher than that and is a total embarrassment that is being played is Oregon playing Liberty. That you knew where I was going with that.
Oh my God, dude! When I saw that, I felt bad for Oregon when I saw that.
It's just despicable that game is being played. I mean, there's no explanation for those 2 teams playing. I mean, like, Liberty does not belong. A 17-point line. I mean, that's a lot. That is.
Is Bo Nix playing? I would imagine they have a lot of opt-outs.
I'll be honest. We've been so consumed with the KJ Bolden news and everything this week. I don't know, and we'll come up on the best part of Kirby was talking about today, and we'll talk about this maybe later, but this is the toughest time of the year. What's happening is, Georgia will conclude its on-campus practices soon, and then they'll break for Christmas, and then boom, they'll be in South Florida. Like, you just kind of wake up, and then boom, there are the games again. That's what the New Year's 6 games feel like at all times. I am glad this game is on the 30th, not the 31st or the 1st. I mean, like, for me, if you're going to play this game and it doesn't, like, it's not a playoff game, like, let's not do it on New Year's if we can help it, personally.
No, it's nice. It'll be nice to have that opened up.
Ryan has plans.
Yeah, I actually working on it. My plan was New Orleans too, man. My plan was New Orleans too.
Oh, no. Listen, I know. Yeah. I mean, listen, New Orleans is great. And I think that we'll see that at some point in the future. You know what you should be working on? Sign up for our newsletter, which is down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.